My name is Joe Armstrong. Welcome to an Independence Day Fast Forward. This episode's guest, Mr. Brian Whelan, who has the unique distinction of being the only artist to have been on Independence Day twice. You can go back to episode number 2 all the way back to March of 2011, and he was back on again in 2015 in February. Then those are episodes 2 and 129 respectively. Brian, thank you, man.
Joe, thanks for having me.
It really is an honor to have you on the show. And I said this a year ago when we were on the show, and I thank you for coming on the show when the show was very nascent and new, and it was like a proof of concept thing that I could even do this or anybody would listen. Yeah. And so thank you for being willing to like jump into the deep end of the pool with me, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thanks for having me. And like we were talking about, we're on parallel paths here.
Sort of.
Building something up. Yeah.
In a way. And so since we last talked, even last year, back then, Decider, you were still working on that record. You've got a brand new record. It's called Sugarland.
That's right.
Tell me what's changed in a year. So it seems like 2015 was a really, really big year for man. You're a year out of the band that you'd spent in, and that's worth mentioning whose band that was.
That's right. As you know, I worked for Dwight Yoakam for 4 years, and a year ago, tendered my resignation to go kind of focus on my own music, which I wasn't really able to do. We talked about that in episode 129. It was hard to do both, so I had to pick one. And it's been, it's been a very busy year because as opposed to only having to know the lobby call time, now I have to know everything and keep it all straight. So it's been a challenge, but it's also been very good to kind of learn some new skills and refine some of the ones that I already had.
Yeah. And you're doing a great job at it, man. Like, you're still eating, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It means we said this a year ago. It's a courageous thing to like leave that. I call them gravy gigs.
Right.
And I remember bumping into you in a parking lot of a gas station one day early in the year, and you were just about to leave Dwight's band. And I was like, man, I felt like a dad or something. Like, you got to spread your wings and fly, little bird. That's right.
That's what you said. And we're old buddies, and I remember you were one of the first people that I even talked to about that. And, it's, this is a cliche, but there is a good and a bad side to everything. So even when you have the gravy gig,
right?
In many ways, your life is not your own,
right?
Because although very few musicians are on retainer anymore, a lot of us are effectively on a retainer.
Right.
Because if you are making good money and have security in a gig, you don't really want to ask for a day off or say that you are not available for something.
Right.
So you are kind of effectively on a retainer, and that's a very tricky way to live your life, especially if you have any other obligations. You said it. So you have a girlfriend or a wife or pets and weddings to go to, friends getting married, paying rent, all that. Well, the rent is but and so being on my own is. I don't have as much security. I don't know where the next, paycheck is going to come from all the time. But I have a lot more freedom, to do what I want. And it feels good when the successes happen. It feels really good because they're mine and not somebody else's.
And what a proud day, man. What a great feeling to have a new record come out.
Yeah, that's right.
It really, really is. I've felt that a handful of times in my life, and it's like, it's because it's so much work.
Yeah.
So much work, especially when you're an independent artist or even a borderline independent artist, and to double down on your cliche, when you leave the nest, it's now you flapping, to fly. Those are your wings. And if, so you got to do it. So congratulations, by the way, on the record. Congratulations on the last year. I couldn't be happier for you, man. Now tell me just a little bit about the record. You've got some co-writes on here, which is something you've kind of done for a long time. We've got some of the usual suspects. So for the co-writing, I wrote again with my good friend Ross Flournoy. He and I were in the Broken West together for many years, from about 2005 to 2010, and he's a co-writer on Decider as well. So we co-wrote one together, and he also gave me a couple of songs that he had written that were kind of sitting around not getting used, and he let me record them. I co-wrote with Phoebe Bridgers, Independence Day artist.
Yes, that's right. She's been on the show. We wrote a song together called Sucker Punch. That was it was just a really good experience. We were talking about it, but I've been just very impressed by her. She's a very impressive young lady, and just watching her career blossom too has been a lot of fun. and I co-wrote with Davey Michelle, another Independence Day. He's
the
been on
Neighborhood
here.
Bullies?
Yeah, the Neighborhood Bullies have been on the show, and we wrote a good one together called "Talk to Me." The record's co-produced by Mitch Marine and myself. I know Mitch has been on the show. Mitch was in the Dwight Yoakam band with me for. He's still in it, but we were in it together for those years, and he is my favorite drummer. A great producer, a great friend, and so he helped me bring it home, and brought in a lot of other musicians to play on it. Rami, we talked about, and he brought in a lot of great players to come play on.
And we're talking about Rami Jaffe, who is the longtime keyboard player. He's with the Wallflowers for a really long time, and these days he's out with a little band called
the Foo Fighters.
Who some of you may have heard from.
You guys might have heard of.
You might have heard of the
They're
Foo
good.
Fighters. They're a good band.
They're a good band.
they're a funny band because they're the de facto torchbearers for rock.
They're
and
the
roll
rock band.
because rock bands don't exist like that anymore. At least it doesn't seem like they do.
I have a lot of appreciation for Dave Grohl's work ethic because, it is not as easy as you might think when, to follow up one success with another. It takes a lot more drive than you might think. And he's a hardworking guy.
He's a hardworking man.
Yeah.
The people who criticize him say he's a little bit vanilla, but man, vanilla's not like it used to be.
I was thinking the other day, criticism is kind of good. Like I'm kind of looking forward to more criticism because it kind of means that you have done well and succeeded and people have heard of you.
If you've drawn enough attention,
how
that
could
people
you not
have
like
an opinion,
Dave Grohl? Like how could Dave Grohl is, this hardworking, nice guy who's talented. It's the only reason people don't like him is because he's really famous.
Yeah. Well, you know as well as I do, man. It's easier to it takes much more work to build things than it does to tear things down. So, there you go. There's the thing, right? There's the rub right there. You're gonna play a song for us, man. This is something from the new record. What's the title of this?
This is Go Dancing. This is actually the single, quote unquote. We are trying to promote this at radio. This is I co-wrote this with Ross Flournoy.
What is this radio of which you speak? What is this radio?
Yeah, I don't know. They told me it's going to be huge. No, I've hired a radio promoter and we, picked a song and trying to get some play. It's I don't know if it's going to be on K-Rock, but we're looking at certainly independent radio, college radio, AAA radio, and satellite radio is kind of the big one.
Yeah.
So trying to work this song in particular, and it's a song about dancing.
Good thing. All right, so Brian Whelan back on Independence Day. This is his first appearance on the Fast Forward. You can drop by him at brianwhelanmusic.com, WHELAN, in case you don't know who he is, in case you don't live in Los Angeles. Everybody in Los Angeles knows who you are.
Hey!
Follow him on Twitter at Whelan Music. I like to say the Hua.
Yeah.
It's got some southern lineage there. And the track is Go Dancing. The new record is called Sugarland. Brian Whelan on Independence Day.
Something irresistible about you. There's something really makes me wanna stay. You offer up an open invitation. If I could only stay the hell out of my own way. Oh, 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 oh. I said, baby, don't you go dancing. No second chances to save my soul today. The girls around here got all the fast moves. Well, they do-si-do while I do-re-mi, yeah. I'm shining up a brand new pair of dance shoes, yeah. But my only swinging partner is my jealousy, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I said, baby, don't you go dancing. No second chance chancing to save my soul today. I said, baby, your eyes will see through me. What good would it do me to give my heart away? I'm incomplete of two left feet, but your body wrapped around me feels so sweet. Oh yeah. I said, baby, don't you go dancing. No second chances to save my soul. I said, baby, your eyes will see through me. What good would it do me to give my heart? I said, baby, don't you go dancing. No second chances to save my soul. I said, baby, yeah, baby.
Brian, damn, baby.
Joe.
That's great. That's really, really great. As you're playing that song, the first thing that pops into my head, there's two things that pop into my head. Well, three things. First of all, it's great. So kudos to you for writing another
Thank you,
catchy
Joe.
tune.
Appreciate
And like really, you keep like elevating your writing, just keeps getting better and better and better over time. So good stuff. And secondly, the thing I think of is that's like a lost John Mellencamp song. To me, it sounds like something, because when I think of Mellencamp or like those bands of like the mid to late 70s, like the kids driving the truck around the town square in the small town and parking out in the Kroger parking lot on Saturday night, because that's what you do. And they're blasting AC/DC's Back in Black, and they're blasting that song.
Right, or Cheap Trick.
Or Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
And it fits right in there with that, man.
Yeah.
It sounds so, it really, like Mellencamp, when he started off was like this, they call him the little bastard. Like he was really... He wrote these really catchy songs in an environment which was kind of new wavy music was really popular, and gated snare drums and like that new sound. But he was a throwback at the time. And even though roots music is very popular right now and having a kind of renaissance, like it fits right in there, man. So,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah,
Love
it was supposed to be. We just did an acoustic version of it, but on the record, it definitely has that big. It's supposed to have that big sound where,
chorus.
and like should sound good coming out of a car stereo in a parking lot
That's
somewhere.
I'm glad it came through, and it's got even that thing like you did it here in the acoustic version with the chicka chickas on the strings, but like that's the big clappy part. The band drops out. Hopefully the crowd sings along.
I actually had the engineer tell me on that part that the fader would not go any further on the drums. I was like, "Can the drums go louder?" And eventually he just said, "No, they won't go any louder." So that's
he's lying to you, but that's okay. I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, maybe he just was tired of hearing about it. But anyway, as far as I know, it's as loud as they could get.
Yeah, so good stuff, man. And people, the brand new record drops today. It's available on the internet. It's available at brianwhelanmusic.com. Follow him on Twitter, as we said, at Whelan Music.
Yes, if you want me to get the money, you can buy it from the website.
Okay.
But if you want to listen on Spotify, it's there.
Right.
If you want to buy it from iTunes, it's there. If you want to buy it through Amazon, it's there. It'll be anywhere.
Did you do vinyl?
I didn't do vinyl.
Okay, maybe someday.
It's a long wait.
It's a long
if I wanted to have vinyl, I think that there will be vinyl for both, for Decider and for Sugarland, but it's too hard to line it up with your release date. You'll just be waiting to release it. So at some point I'll have it.
It's a long timeline. But people should pick it up. And I tell people this all the time. If you really want to support an artist, if you really, really love what they do, buy the music from them. Best thing, buy it at a show. No middleman. Give them the money. Put the money in their hand. That's going to go into their pocket. It's going to go into the gas tank.
Yep.
It's going to go to making the next record. So, and I encourage that for everybody, especially you, Brian. And and then we've got just one more thing I want to talk about before I boot you out of here.
Sure.
I'm trying to keep these short and snappy. You've got an alternate career these days going, like session work. I would call it like producer's work. You've done a lot of work. You're doing 2 records with Amy Blaschke. You did her first one, and you're working on her second one, and you're working with other artists too. Like, just speak to me of this, like this alternate ego that you've got going on.
It was it was a nice surprise. It started with Rod Melanson. I had done a little bit of kind of co-production before that was really kind of like it was arranging and pre-production really.
Yeah.
And Rod Melanson, who's another Independence Day artist, approached me several years ago to produce him. And I had never been asked before. I had never really done it. So that was the beginning. And so he and I did 2 together. And then Amy Blaschke, who's also been on the show, is a great singer, great songwriter. She asked me to do one with her. That came out last October, and we're currently finishing up a second one. But that work is has been really fulfilling for me to kind of find out that I had kind of a knack for it, and to somehow have an outlet for all of this knowledge about songs and studios and recording sessions and the history of rock and roll music, which in some ways is like, I don't want to say it's kind of useless, but it's hard to monetize that. It's like we talked before about pouring over liner notes. Like we're the kind of guys who read the liner notes, and it's like, well, now that's great, but how do you make that into something that is part of a career and part of your life,
right?
Like in a practical way. And the answer for me has been production, because you can relay those stories. Like you not only use it to actually enhance a session and a track that you're recording, but you also can kind of relay those stories and maybe teach somebody something, and maybe use that knowledge to make a record better.
Yeah.
So it's been a great thing to do, and I'm really fortunate that both of those artists asked me to do it. You know, it's a hard thing to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, I think I should produce you."
Right.
I haven't had any success doing that.
Right.
So it's very nice that they both asked me to, and like we said, it's kept the lights on, and also just the freelance session work. I got hired a lot to come in and play, and that's it's almost like I'm moonlighting doing those things, and it gives me the flexibility and in some cases the income to pursue my own music.
And it's great work because it keeps you at home too,
yes,
which is an essential thing.
Which I kind of glossed over that, but that is an essential thing, and it adds to the flexibility of it. You're at home, you're not traveling, a lot of time it's during the day, so I could go play a gig at night, or maybe go see my girlfriend and spend some
sleep
time
in your
with her.
bed.
Yeah, sleep in my bed.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, Brian, and what are we listening to here as we kind of ride off into the sunset? What is this track? This is the title track, right?
This is the title track. This is Sugarland from the album Sugarland. And this is the first song that I wrote for the project. It's the first thing that we recorded. It was, I'd been working with Dwight and Mitch for about a year, I think, at that time. And we went into Mark Rain's Station House studio over there in Echo Park and laid this one down, and that was the beginning of the record.
Yeah, and it sounds great, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you on the show. It's an honor to call you a friend. It's been an extreme pleasure of mine to see your career develop and continue to develop. So
Likewise.
Keep out there. So you've got some shows coming up. You're going to be playing the Grand Ole Echo, which is your kind of album release. Do they call them CD release? I guess it's CD release.
Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. Album release, CD release, but that will be the Grand Ole Echo, which is in its 11th year, and I've performed there for many of those years, and so I can't think of a better place to have a CD
they've got
release.
going on down there, and right in Echo Park, right on Sunset.
And that's going to be, and by the way, that's going to be a really great bill. The world record is going to be on the bill. A band called Wild Roses is going to be on the bill, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Very nice. Like I said, buy the record. Sugarland. BrianWhelanMusic.com is the website. Follow him on Twitter @WhelanMusic. And Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
very
Joe.
much.
Appreciate it.